a joke, but my expectations were genuinely in the gutter. Its name is Hellhole.
Hey, welcome to our 5th annual 31 Days of Horror here at Ghost in the Magazine. As we do every year, we shift our episode release date from our usual Monday to line up with Halloween, which this year lands on a Thursday. That means this first episode was only going to cover 3 movies: Hellhole, The Deep House, and The Boogeyman. We discuss some as a group, and others will just get an introduction and a rating. So let's start with a quick introduction of the hosts, and we'll get on with the commentary. I'm Elle.
I'm Mel.
I'm Molly.
I'm Al.
I'm Sadie.
So let's start with Hellhole. Who watched Hellhole? Okay, just me and Molly?
Tell us about it.
Police officers undercover trying to investigate missing persons. So like all these women are going missing. And he decides to go undercover as a priest in this monastery or a monk. I don't know. And he ends up getting himself involved in, like, they become convinced that he is going to rebirth the Antichrist. So they keep making him do all this stuff. And eventually, this is just a really quick rundown. Eventually, they use him to like raise the devil or something. And at first, this is so funny. At first, it doesn't work. And they're all sitting looking at each other going, "You said it would work. We've killed so many people."
Oh my God. Okay.
I made me laugh so hard the first time I saw it. Eventually it does work, but at first it's just a bunch of priests looking at each other, and then they start arguing with each other because it's basically like, "Steve, you promised
That's
funny. That if we did all this stuff, we would get this be Satan." I made me laugh very hard.
Now I'm gonna have to watch that. That sounds hilarious.
It wasn't bad.
I have a problem with the title though, because it's called Hellhole in English, but it's a Polish movie, and the original title translates to The Last Supper, which I think is just way better.
Yeah.
Because I went into it watching it initially, like the first time I ever watched it, I went in going, "Oh, this is going to be such a stupid movie. I can't wait." And then halfway through, I was like, "God damn, this is actually pretty good." The plot was very, very bad, but we're like kind of pressed for time.
It works. And I'm gonna say that I've watched a lot of movies where it's like a religious institution is trying to bring back, like, raise a devil or raise a demon. The Last Omen this year, and then the Sydney Sweeney one that was pretty much just the same movie.
Like a boys' version of Immaculate.
Yeah, the difference is this was no girls allowed, and so that's the reason they
all the
actually
women and were just straight up murdered.
Yeah, they were just killed. They were just sacrifices. Otherwise, it was a boys' club. It was a sausage festival in there, and they successfully surprised the devil at the end. Like, that's what it felt like, because like we were just seeing decimation, because they killed this police officer guy, throwing him in this pit. I think that's supposed to be the hellhole, because there's like a well to hell, is what they say.
Yeah.
And then the other, like, the friar or whatever, kills the other guy,
the head priest or whatever, because he's going, basically, because he was behind all of them doing this ritual, and they all for a very long time thought that it did not work. So he chokes him to death, I believe.
Well, he suffocates him with a pillow when he's shit-faced drunk, because the priest decides to get shit-faced to, like, feel better about the fact that he fucked up this ritual. And then, surprise, the devil. They're just like, surprise. He's a dead body one second, and then a guy with horns the next. And
I have to say
that was funny.
I was not mad about the demon either, because it was genuinely quite, and the camera as well did some really cool shots where the Dutch tilts and all, like, and it went upside down. Again, explaining it very badly, but it was very eerie.
Yeah.
And especially since it came off the back of a scene that made me howl with laughter because it didn't work. And you
guys keep saying they're like arguing about it, and I know they're like priest or whatever, but all I can like imagine in my head is like frat boys who fucked it up. And so like because I
They
haven't
are
seen
so frat
so
boys.
it's
Yeah.
like
They're
frat boy
so frat
arguing.
boys. Great.
They're definitely frat boy coded.
It's
I
like,
will say the atmosphere of this movie is exceptional though, like for
mhm.
real. Like it's
Okay.
very spooky and desolate and eerie and just like they create a very good atmosphere. Otherwise, the story, it's but it's funny. There's some parts that are
I thought
just
that
surprising.
the story wasn't anything new,
Hmm.
but the execution was quite something.
Hmm.
There was a bit where what was it where he was like in the hallway and he peels off some brick and there's just an eye back there.
Mm.
Oh,
That was and yeah, there was all sorts of imagery that you typically see, like black flies and stuff,
Hmm.
all like demonic possession hallmarks or whatever. But every single time I actually got a bit of a ugh
Hmm.
because and I've at this point I've got a pretty strong stomach when it comes to gore and stuff because I mean it's I watch horror movies a lot, but I just thought that was for such a generic sort of plot. I thought that it was just done so well.
Yeah, this was a surprisingly good one for me. It was on towards the top of my list, so it was on my top five.
Yeah, so it was in my as well. My expectations were in the hellhole with the dead body,
mm.
and they ended up in the air with all the corpses that were levitated and then exploded.
Yes. Yeah, the ending is really it's very visually like stunning, but it's also fucking goofy. It's just so
It
goofy the way
is.
Oh,
it's done. And I think that that combination just kind of shocked me out of I think too I this was in the middle of a grind of watching a lot of movies for me.
mm.
And I was like, I hate it on everything just because I was tired of fucking watching movies at that point. But this one
Oh
surprised
God, yeah.
me. So
Fair enough.
I did watch this outside of 31 Days, which is why I recommended it because it was like one last movie for me to watch. Woohoo!
yeah.
I just sort of
Fair.
skimmed over my favorite bits to remember. But yeah, I was really, really sad. Like I was really impressed with it because seriously, yeah, I joke, but my expectations were genuinely in the gutter. Its name is Hellhole.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't
Like
set
my
you
my
up for
expect
much.
my expectations were so low, and it just made me very happy that it wasn't utterly terrible.
Yeah. I gave it a solid three chuds.
I give it a solid 3.5.
And I feel like, I've heard and seen a lot of like religious, liturgical type scary movies. This one admittedly does sound a little bit different, just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right, yeah, like you're convincing me to go
You're
back and
convincing me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yep.
definitely
It's
gonna watch
fun.
it.
Yes.
So you got me.
Okay.
Conversion.
I need something to do tonight anyway.
So the next movie on the list is The Deep House. And who has watched that one? Okay. I will say so The Deep House is something I've thought of a lot, like this type of horror movie, just because I live in an area with a lot of hydroelectric dams where they flood. My grandpa was born in a house that is now flooded. It's underwater. And so this type of movie, like this type of storytelling is something that really appeals to me. My problem with this movie, I'm wearing my Lovecraft shirt, which they say these two lines quite a few times, but it's just a demonic possession family story.
Mhm.
And that pissed me off. You set me up for Lovecraft. You're underwater where the deep ones live. And you just do, oh, it's devil worship. Suck my dick. That's my problem with it right there. That was my problem with the whole movie. Otherwise, it was aight. It was
Never
fine.
edge L with Lovecraftian horror.
Exactly.
ever.
That's just rude.
Don't Lovecraft bait me.
Mhm.
Exactly. Well, I love cosmic horror. So I was like, yes, this is going to be something deeper and like something that I wasn't expecting. I kind of saved it for last because I was really excited about it and I thought I'm going to give this one like high marks just because I also have like this weird obsession with like cave diving videos and stuff. I watch so much shit. I am so claustrophobic. I'm never going to do that shit.
Like what?
But this is like all of my little like fascinations together, like all of my little fixations, and it was disappointing.
I don't know how you can watch those because I'm literally holding my breath while they're holding their breath, and I'm sitting here like I can't do this.
I think it's just a safe way of like exercising like cognitive behavioral therapy on something that I
Oh
have.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes
I
Thing
couldn't
for.
sense.
even do that. Like I hate deep water so much.
Yeah, it's scary. This like the premise of it and like the setup and honestly like the setting is really eerie too. Like
Yeah.
they do a really good job with the setting. I just didn't like the way that the story that they told with it. They had a lot of good setup, but
Right.
Yeah. My problems are with the writing too, the script.
yeah.
The script is really faulty. Like, honestly, I would be really curious to visually like lay eyes on that script. Like, how many sections of dialogue are I mean, there's like a lot of just like scuba sounds, like when
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not if there's no the dialogue is shitty, it's terrible. And they stay under so long. Like literally the movie is like I wanted them people to surface so damn bad. Like they don't come up to the end and then, spoiler alerts, not everybody does. So like,
Right.
that was really anxiety inducing and I liked it. But in terms of dialogue, because they're underwater for so much of the movie, it's really, really not existent.
Yeah.
And that's like hard to follow. Actually, you got to have your eyes on the screen.
Yeah.
I didn't love that. That made it kind of hard. Like if you're a other type of like viewer, or you're doing more auditory, like listening for the conversational context, it wasn't there. So the script has got to just look like nothing. I mean,
Oh, I bet.
yeah.
It's like 4 blank pages of like, what do we do here? Like you're
Just
underwater.
bubble sounds.
Just bubbles. I don't know.
Bubbles. Blub, 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 blub.
And
Just the
like
words
gesturing
glub glub.
Mhm.
and a lot of this, just like scuba symbols and stuff. So, but I did like the setting and I was really, that's a different kind of jump scare underwater. Liked it. But still kind of,
Mhm.
Yeah. I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the setup. But again, it was just one of those like you can't expect to do much underwater with scuba masks. And so the script, when you like storytelling type of stuff, it doesn't really work. And apparently it was a massive pain for them to film because they did it in a giant tank. And so they couldn't hear the director. So most of what they're doing is them trying to figure it out themselves. So it's like, oh, you can actually feel their panic because they have no control of what's happening. And so it felt authentic, but it was like, yeah, it's just like kind of like I could watch a scuba video on YouTube and get the same ambiance in a way. So it was fine. It was fun. But
I will say like that ending was kind of amusing to me just because as a Sims player, it just felt like a Sim death when they're drowning. They just like like she's like right there and then all of a sudden
right there. It was,
and then she dies. Yeah.
yeah.
Sims death. Oh, I would have howled. I'm sorry.
I kind of did. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a Sim.
somebody took the ladder away.
Mhm.
Oh
That's
no.
what it felt like. Because she wasn't really struggling up to that point. All of a sudden, she's just like, I ran out of air. And then.
Maybe that goes back to what Al's saying, where it's like they don't know what the fuck they're doing in this tank. And she's like, oh, I'm supposed to die.
Maybe she was just done with acting and went, all right, I'm dead now.
Right. I want to get out of this pool. I've been wet for 72 days.
Gave herself the bends, even though she's only like 20 feet deep.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff they did not try hard enough to sort out. They were just like, close enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. We did all this underwater. That was so much work. We're done.
They're like, it's a January horror movie. No one's gonna see this anyway.
I'm on a 2 for this one.
I think I gave it a 3 just because of like the atmosphere and I like the setup. It was eerie and weird.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 as well. This is just another satanic family killing movie when it sets it up to be something better. But it didn't piss me off enough to rank it below Exorcist 3. And so that's why it landed where it landed.
Fair enough.
Fair.
Yeah. Very fair. Very fair.
So I'm the only one who watched, or rather rewatched, The Boogeyman, and really, I could have just not done that. I'm going to give the Chud rating right out of the gate, which is 0.5, which ranks it as the lowest rated overall this week. So let me start with the parts that make sense. And they're all on the production side. So as I was watching, I kept thinking to myself, this is like a really bad episode of Supernatural. And Barry Watson is giving great value, bad vibes Sam Winchester, which makes some sense because Supernatural creator Eric Kripke is 1/3 of the credited screenwriters. Now, the things that do work are the creative use of the camera to jar and confuse the audience, and the desolate, interesting setting of the old house, which reminds me of another film. Oh yeah, Evil Dead. And hey, look at that. Sam Raimi is one of the producers. The rest, though, it just doesn't make sense. The lore rules are not even convoluted or stretched. They simply just don't seem to exist. The underlying baddie is both in the individual mind of these different people and belongs to the history and lore of the entire area. It's not contained by the house, and yet our dude Tim was just living his best life for years without the house. If Mom was holding the baddie back and it was unleashed on him suddenly upon her death, how? Why? That's not even explored. In the end, it's just unsatisfying. None of the potentially interesting meaning is developed. It's just a dehydrated dude being weird and killing when he feels like it, but it just feels like sometimes he needs a break, I guess. Thank you for listening to A Ghost in the Magazine. You can find us on the interwebs at ghostinthemagazine.site. You can find us on Instagram at GITM Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Nocturnical. You can find Mel on Instagram at Mel Shearer. You can find Sadie on Instagram at Sadie_B. You can find Al on Instagram at Maybe Mockingbird. And you can find Molly on Instagram at Molly_McGill.
Okay, bye.